Aloha, guys. This is Tiggy Maximus with Tiggy Maximus Talks, episode 242 on Spotify and YouTube. Um, I want to talk to you guys about two comedy shows. Um, there's one show I went to, it was the mic drop called the Major Malfunction. It was at the Mic Drop Comedy Club, and well, it just so happens it was also Cheryl Sunstein's birthday. She's the producer of Major Malfunction. And I gotta say, it was a really good show. It might have been the best lineup performance I've actually seen from that particular show, actually. The show, I think, had taken place on October 12th. And great lineup. You had Danny Ragu. He started out the show as the host, and he has some very hard hitting jokes. But I like his style because it does make people laugh, and the room was laughing a lot during the set. So I want to say that Danny Ragu, probably, I want to give him 8.5 out of 10. The next person to go up was actually Cheryl Sunstein herself, and she did a few jokes. Kind of mellow, but she's still pretty good. Got a few laughs. I want to say she was an 8 out of 10. I believe we also had a Brian Hartwell, and he has a few good jokes. The people kind of liked his set. I want to say he was like a 8.3 out of 10. We also have Diana Puig, and she might have had a couple of new jokes, and the people were laughing quite a bit during her set, so she did pretty well. It's always nice seeing her at the show, given that she's also the co-producer of Major Malfunction. So I want to say that Diana Puig was 8.4 out of 10. And then we have we have Sarah Hirschberger, and she mixed in some old jokes, but she has some really good new ones that I've heard, and she did really well. And apparently she talked about an escape room, and apparently we got a little sidetracked about escape rooms. um, she did pretty well. I want to say that she was 8.6 out of 10. Fed wants to know. Guy's pretty cool. And he sometimes likes to do that little accent voice to start off, and then went back to his regular voice. So got a lot of people laughing. I always like this joke about his dad firing him from the market, and he actually worked the room pretty well, actually. So did a great job, and he got better as he went on. So I would say that Pedro Somo 8.7 out of 10. And then we got the headliner, comedian, musical host, Margaret Star. She brought her mini piano, and she sang a few songs with jokes in it, and it was hilarious. And she did a great job changing the lyrics to her own and making it very funny, and it got the people laughing. I actually think that she actually incorporated me into the second or third song. So that was kind of cool. Um, I want to say that Margaret Star with her musical comedy, 8.8 out of 10. Good show overall. I always kind of wondered if the Major Malfunction comedy show would ever read my Major Malfunction because I wrote it on a note and I gave it to them. So I'm kind of hoping at some point they would read it, either on stage or at some point. So who knows? We'll see. Another show I went to, actually, I was a mic drop. Same gold room, and you got Walter Ford, you got Camille Waters, and you got the headliner. Oh, sorry, I got the double vaccine, guys, flu and COVID, and to do it at the same time, it does hurt your arm, and it does make you sick for 48 hours. So I'm better now, but I still have some residuals. It's okay. I lost my voice because I'll tell you why at a later episode. But it does involve a comedy show, a Halloween party, and a soccer game. So, anywho, yeah, another My Chop show, Gold Room. Walter Ford kind of started things off. Um, he had a couple new jokes. Um, Room was kind of laughing. There were some laughs. I would say maybe almost half the room was probably laughing at the stuff he was saying. I want to say he was probably an 8 out of 10. Um, Next was Camille Waters, who is, I guess you could say, your feature, or the feature, or the feature comedian. She's actually best friends with Kali Scott. So either Kali Scott or Khalil Scott. I think it's Kali Scott. Sounds cooler. Um, Camille Waters kind of had a lot of good jokes. People were laughing. Did pretty well with the crowd. Um, I like a lot of stuff that she says on stage, and it was actually mostly new stuff too. Um, and I would say that she was a 8.7 out of 10. And then next up was your headliner, Kali Scott. And so got to see a little bit of her stuff at the 420 show. And so this was a good chance to see what her full set is. And she is touring the country. And she's, now touring with Camille Waters. So I'm glad I got to see Kali Scott do her thing. And she got a lot of people laughing. She did talk about dating. Um, and she even has this segment at the end of the show where she kind of gives advice to the females of how to get a guy, which is kind of cool. And honestly, it was the funniest thing of the whole night. So Kali Scott, I want to say she was 8.9 out of 10. Overall great stuff. Um, so the I guess I'll mention the Dodgers and the Blue Jays are the World Series. Tonight, I believe, is game 4 right now. And Dodgers are up 2-1. Last night was game 3, and that went 18 innings. And it was a roller coaster. Dodgers were up, I think, 2-0. And then Blue Jays went up 4-2. Then Dodgers tied it 4-4. Blue Jays went up 5-4. Dodgers tied it with Ohtani 5-5. And that from that point on, the Blue Jays kept walking intentionally Ohtani because he did so much damage in the first 6-7 innings. Yeah, I give them credit for that because that's just art. But it does rob the fans of a great at bat because for like the next 11 innings, there was no score. It was zeros all across the board since Otani's home run to tie the game at 5-5. Because it was still 5-5 from the seventh inning or something, all the way up to the top of the 18th, and then there was a chance for the Blue Jays to get some damage, but the Dodgers relievers, pitchers somehow managed to escape a few times with runners on base. And in the bottom of the 18th inning, I believe Freddie Freeman was the first batter on a 3-2 count, and he launched a home run, and the Dodgers win walk-off style 6-5. It ended right before midnight. So I would imagine both teams are a little exhausted. But last time I checked, I think the Blue Jays were ahead 2-1. So it's going to be an epic game four, and this has already been a very fun, exciting World Series, and I can't wait to see how this turns out. Hopefully, in a way, I hope the Blue Jays win in 6 games, but I could see this going 7, and I could see it coming down to the wire, where you might have Otani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. One of those 3 guys might be the guy that might win or lose the game for the Dodgers. And then on the other side, you got Vlad Guerrero Jr. I think you got Bichette. Hopefully, they might have George Springer. So hopefully, they might decide the game, win or lose. So it's a very competitive World Series. I like it because it was more competitive than last year's Yankees and Dodgers. Blue Jays and Dodgers seem to be on even level, and I think the Blue Jays had won 94 games and the Dodgers won 93. So this is very competitive. It makes it fun for everybody. I like competitiveness. I do want to bring up Chargers. So last time I talked to you guys, I think I ended with the Chargers. They lost to the Giants. They lost to the Commanders. They did come back and beat the Dolphins at the end of the game with a game-winning field goal, with which was preceded by um, a catch by Lon McConkey from Justin Herbert. Made sure he got that first down and more yardage to get into field goal position, and gave Cameron Dicker, the kicker, the chance to win the game with a game-winning field goal. And since that 29-27 victory, the Chargers come back. They lose to the Indianapolis Colts. I'm sad about that. They lost 38-24. I did watch the highlights. I was at a pool party. But the Colts got a high-octane offense. They kept scoring and scoring on the Chargers. Chargers tried to fight back, but a few times Justin Herbert, without some of his weapons and one of his key guys on the offensive line, it just made it hard for Justin Herbert to try to wield this team to try to compete with the Colts. So yeah, the Chargers fell to 4-3 from that, and then Chargers then had to play Thursday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings, and guess what? They got back Joe Alt, offensive line help, and they got some great receiver help, and the Chargers blew out the Vikings 37-10. And now the Chargers are 5-3 and in a good spot for the playoffs. Anywho, guys, I gotta get out of here. This is Tiggy Maximus signing off. Baby, later, guys.